Chosen one, you may be shocked to hear this, but the reason you're going through a rough time is because you're talking to yourself. You're being negatively affected by this every day, and you don't even realize it. You must be aware of the consequences this is having on you. The primary cause of unhappiness is not the situations we face, but the thoughts we have about those situations. Often, we believe that if circumstances were different, we would be happier. However, the truth is that our thoughts about these situations are what create the most distress. We constantly replay scenarios in our minds, worry about the future, or dwell on the past. This continuous thinking traps us in a cycle of unhappiness because we're not living in the present moment, but are instead caught up in a whirlwind of thoughts. When we identify too closely with the voice in our heads, we begin to believe that this constant inner dialogue is who we are. This identification with our thoughts can lead to a false perception of ourselves. We start to think that we are our thoughts, which often are filled with fear, doubt, and negativity. This not only distorts our self-image, but also amplifies feelings of fear and suffering. Our minds, left unchecked, create problems that may not even exist, magnifying issues and causing us unnecessary pain. This illusion of constant thinking is something many people don't even realize they're trapped in. They believe that thinking is a necessary part of being human, but they don't see that it's the relentless identification with these thoughts that causes so much suffering. It's not the situations themselves that make us unhappy, but the way we think about them. The mind is an incredibly powerful tool. It helps us solve problems, create, plan, and make sense of the world around us. However, when the mind is left unchecked or allowed to run on autopilot, it can become destructive. Most people don't realize that their minds are controlling them rather than the other way around. This lack of awareness leads to a state where thoughts occur automatically, without any conscious intention. This involuntary thinking often drains our energy and is a major source of unhappiness. When the mind controls us, we become trapped in a cycle of continuous thinking. These thoughts can be overwhelming, filling our minds with worries, fears, and endless to-do lists. Because the mind tends to focus on potential problems or things that need to be fixed, it often creates stress and anxiety. Instead of using our mental energy productively, we end up feeling drained and unhappy. The problem isn't that we think, but that we think too much and without awareness. Our minds jump from one thought to another, creating a constant background noise that prevents us from fully experiencing the present moment. This noise can cloud our judgment, make us more reactive, and keep us from finding true peace. By becoming aware of this process, we can begin to take back control. When we realize that our thoughts are not necessarily true, and that we don't have to believe every thought that comes into our heads, we can start to use our minds more effectively. We can choose to focus on thoughts that uplift and inspire us, rather than those that bring us down. Awareness beyond thought is the key to accessing a higher level of consciousness. Most of the time, we are so absorbed in our thoughts that we miss out on the deeper awareness that exists within us. This awareness is a state of being where we observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them. It's about noticing the thoughts that arise in our minds, but not allowing them to control or define us. When we step into this state of awareness, we begin to realize that we are not our thoughts. Thoughts are just mental events that come and go, but there is a deeper part of us that remains constant. This is the part of us that is always present, always aware. By observing our thoughts rather than identifying with them, we create space between our true selves and the mental chatter that often fills our minds. This space is where true peace and creativity can arise. When we are not constantly caught up in thinking, we allow ourselves to tap into a deeper level of consciousness. In this state, we are more in tune with our inner wisdom and intuition. We find that solutions to problems come more easily, and we experience a sense of calm and clarity that is not possible when our minds are constantly racing. Practicing this kind of awareness takes time and effort, but it is incredibly rewarding. It can start with simply noticing when you are lost in thought and gently bringing your attention back to the present moment. Over time, this practice becomes more natural, and you begin to experience a deeper sense of peace and joy in your everyday life. The practice of observing thoughts helps to quiet the mind and brings about a sense of inner stillness. In this stillness, we can experience life more fully, without the constant interference of thoughts. This is where true creativity and inspiration come from, not from the mind itself, but from the space beyond thought, where we are fully present and aware. Mental constructs are the ideas, beliefs, and judgments that our minds create to make sense of our experiences. While these constructs can help us navigate life, they can also trap us in rigid ways of thinking that prevent us from experiencing the present moment fully. When we cling to these mental constructs, we often find ourselves living in the past or worrying about the future rather than being fully present. These constructs shape our perceptions and reactions, often leading to unnecessary stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. They create a filter through which we see the world, and this filter can obscure the true richness and beauty of life. Letting go of these mental constructs is not about rejecting all thoughts or beliefs, but about recognizing that they are not absolute truths. They are simply perspectives that we have developed over time. When we understand this, we can begin to loosen our attachment to them. This allows us to approach life with a more open and flexible mindset. One way to start liberating ourselves from these mental constructs is through practices like meditation and mindfulness. These practices help us quiet the mind and become more aware of our thoughts without getting entangled in them. By observing our thoughts without judgment, we can see them for what they are, just thoughts, not facts. This awareness helps us detach from the mental constructs that limit us. As we quiet the mind and let go of these constructs, we can begin to experience the world with a sense of wonder and curiosity, much like a child seeing things for the first time. This childlike perspective allows us to engage with life more fully, without the burden of preconceived notions and judgments. It opens us up to new possibilities and experiences, free from the limitations that our mental constructs impose. Detachment from thoughts and emotions is a powerful way to cultivate inner stillness. We often get so caught up in our thoughts and feelings that they start to define us. When we believe that we are our thoughts or emotions, we become entangled in them, making it difficult to find peace. However, when we learn to observe our thoughts and emotions without attaching ourselves to them, we create space for inner stillness to emerge. Detachment doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing what we think and feel. It's about recognizing that thoughts and emotions are just temporary experiences that pass through our minds. By observing them without getting swept away, we begin to see that we are not defined by them. This realization allows us to maintain a sense of calm and clarity, even when faced with difficult or overwhelming thoughts and emotions. This process of detachment requires mindfulness and awareness. It involves paying attention to what is happening in our minds without reacting automatically. Instead of getting lost in a stream of thoughts or overwhelmed by emotions, we simply notice them. This awareness helps us step back and see things more clearly, without the cloud of intense attachment. As we practice detachment, we start to experience a deeper level of inner stillness. This stillness is not about the absence of thought or emotion, but about being present and centered, despite them. It's a state of calm that arises when we are no longer constantly reacting to everything that happens in our minds. In this stillness, we find a sense of peace that is not dependent on external circumstances or internal mental activity. Detachment also allows us to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves. When we are not entangled in our thoughts and emotions, we can observe them more objectively. This gives us insight into our patterns of thinking and feeling, helping us to understand why we react the way we do. With this understanding, we can make more conscious choices about how we respond to our inner experiences. Experiencing brief moments of thoughtless awareness can be incredibly refreshing for the mind. These moments occur when we allow ourselves to step away from the constant flow of thoughts and simply exist in a state of pure awareness. It's not about trying to empty the mind forcefully, but rather about noticing when the mind naturally quiets down and allowing ourselves to embrace that stillness. In these moments, we are fully immersed in the present without the usual distractions of thoughts, concerns, or plans. Thoughtless awareness is a state of being where we are not engaged in any mental activity. Instead, we are just present, fully aware of our surroundings, our bodies, and the sensations we experience, without the need to label, judge, or analyze anything. This state allows us to connect with the world in a more direct and unfiltered way, free from the mental noise that usually clouds our perception. What makes these moments so valuable is that they offer a break from the constant mental activity that we often experience. In our daily lives, our minds are usually busy, jumping from one thought to the next. This constant mental activity can be exhausting, leading to stress and a sense of being overwhelmed. Brief moments of thoughtless awareness provide a much-needed pause, allowing the mind to rest and recharge. These moments of awareness also have a grounding effect. When we are not lost in thought, we become more aware of the present moment and everything that it contains. This heightened awareness can bring a sense of peace and calm, as we are no longer preoccupied with what has happened in the past or what might happen in the future. We are simply here now, fully engaged with the present. The more we notice and appreciate these moments, the more we can create space for them in our lives. They don't have to be long or dramatic. Just a few seconds of thoughtless awareness can make a big difference in how we feel. Over time, these moments can help us cultivate a more peaceful and balanced state of mind, one that is less dominated by constant thinking and more open to simply being. Incorporating these moments into our daily routine can help us break the cycle of continuous mental activity. It's a way of reminding ourselves that we don't always need to be thinking or doing something. Sometimes the most valuable thing we can do is to simply be present without the interference of thoughts. I want to make it clear that when I talk about stopping talking to yourself, I don't mean that you should stop thinking entirely or try to suppress your thoughts. Instead, the idea is to find a better balance between being aware of your thoughts and not letting them dominate your mental space. It's about understanding that while thoughts are a natural part of your mind, they don't need to control your entire experience. Stopping talking to yourself means creating a healthier relationship with your internal dialogue. Often, people get caught up in repetitive self-talk that can be stressful or negative. This cycle of internal chatter can reinforce worries and doubts, making it essential to break free from it. The goal is to learn to observe your thoughts without getting entangled in them or letting them dictate how you feel or react. To achieve this balance, focus on shifting your perspective. Rather than trying to force yourself to stop thinking, concentrate on becoming more aware of how you interact with your thoughts. Notice when you're stuck in a loop of self-talk and gently redirect your attention. This might involve recognizing a thought without reacting to it, or allowing yourself to be fully present in the moment without letting your mind race. It's important to remember that some level of thinking is inevitable. The aim is not to eliminate thoughts, but to manage them more effectively. Developing mindfulness can help you create space between your thoughts and your reactions. This way, you can respond to your thoughts more thoughtfully, maintaining a sense of calm and clarity rather than reacting impulsively. Embracing moments of quiet can be very beneficial. Instead of filling every moment with internal chatter, allow yourself to experience silence. This doesn't mean you should suppress your thoughts, but rather that you should create space for a more balanced mental state where thoughts do not cause you distress. As I've mentioned before, this practice isn't just about reducing mental chatter. It's also about tapping into a higher level of consciousness. But there's more to it. This is where spiritual awareness comes in. When you quiet the constant noise of your mind, you open yourself up to a deeper connection with your inner self and a greater sense of spiritual presence. This state of inner quiet allows you to experience a sense of unity and oneness that is often obscured by relentless thoughts. In these moments of stillness, you can feel a greater alignment with your true essence and the larger, interconnected reality. By learning to observe your thoughts without being consumed by them, you create space for spiritual insights to emerge. This heightened awareness helps you recognize a sense of inner peace and tranquility that transcends everyday concerns. You might find that your spiritual beliefs and practices become more vivid and meaningful as you're less distracted by the noise of mental activity. Reducing mental chatter can lead to a more profound sense of presence and mindfulness. When you're fully present, you're more in tune with the spiritual aspects of your experience. This presence allows you to connect with the divine or higher consciousness in a more direct and meaningful way. Many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of being in the moment as a path to enlightenment, and quieting your mind can help facilitate this experience. Experiencing brief moments of thoughtless awareness can also deepen your sense of gratitude and connection with the world. When you're not overwhelmed by constant thoughts, you become more aware of the beauty and wonder around you. This heightened perception can foster a greater appreciation for life and a stronger sense of spiritual fulfillment. Cultivating inner stillness through the practice of stopping talking to yourself can enhance your ability to meditate and engage in other spiritual practices. With a quieter mind, you may find it easier to reach states of deep meditation and spiritual insight. This deeper connection with your inner self can lead to greater clarity and purpose in your spiritual journey. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.